When your cat puts their paw on you, do you actually know what they're trying to say? Yes, it's adorable. But behind that sweetness is something deeper that most people miss. And if you respond the wrong way, you might miss what they're actually trying to tell you. Today we're going through 9 different ways your cat uses their paw to talk to you, from the tiny tap that means don't stop, to the final one that reveals just how deeply your cat can become attached to you. Stick around for that last one, because it changes how you'll see every single paw after it. Let's start with the one you've definitely felt. Ever notice how the paw shows up at the exact moment your hand goes still? You're petting them, everything's perfect, and the second you stop, that little paw reaches out and taps you, like a tiny tap on the shoulder that says, "Excuse me, we weren't finished." That's the first thing to understand about the paw. It's not random, and it's rarely the start of something. It's a response. You are giving them attention, the attention stopped, and the paw is them asking for it back. Simple as that. And here's what makes it sweet instead of demanding. Your cat has 100 ways to get what they want. They could meow. They could headbutt you. They could walk across your keyboard like they usually do. But in that moment, they chose the softest, quietest one. They have a gentle touch. They're not commanding you. They're reaching for you. Most owners read this as the cat being needy or bossy, and they brush the paw off without thinking. But you're not being bossed. You're being chosen as the source of a good thing they don't want to end. Think about how specific that timing actually is. Your cat isn't tapping you randomly throughout the day. They're tracking the exact moment the good thing stopped, and they're responding to that exact moment. That takes attention. It takes noticing you. A cat that didn't care where your hand was wouldn't clock the second it went still. It's also worth noticing what they don't do. Most cats don't tap a stranger who stops petting them mid-visit. They might just leave. The tap is reserved for someone they expect to come back to them. Someone they've learned will actually respond. That expectation, built up over dozens of small moments like this one, is its own kind of quiet trust. And that word chosen is the thread to pull on here, because there's one reason sitting underneath every single paw in this video, the real reason your cat touches you at all. It's the last thing we'll cover, and it's the one thing they would never ever offer a stranger. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go. Here's the second one, and it's a little more emotional. Have you ever had one of those quiet, heavy days, and out of nowhere your cat comes over and rests a paw on you? You didn't call them. You weren't even moving much. But somehow, right when you felt your lowest, there they were. That's not a coincidence. Your cat may be noticing far more about your mood than you realise. Cats are reading you far more closely than most people think. Studies have shown they can tell the difference between a happy human face and an angry one, and they pick up on signals you don't even know you're giving off. Your posture drops. Your voice goes quiet. You move slower. You go still in a way you don't on a normal day. To your cat, all of that is loud. Something about their person has changed, and they notice. So they come closer, and that paw settles onto you. Now here's where I want to be honest with you, because you deserve the real version. We can't crawl inside a cat's head and prove they're trying to console you the way a friend would. We can't know for certain that they're trying to comfort you, but they clearly notice when something about you changes. When something about you changes, your cat may notice it, and sometimes, instead of moving away, they move closer. Maybe they don't fully understand your sadness, but they felt something change, and their answer was to come and be near you anyway. There's also a simpler layer to this worth mentioning. Even without any concept of sad or happy, a quiet, still house on a heavy day often means less noise, less movement, fewer interruptions, conditions a cat might just find comfortable enough to settle into next to you anyway. Whether it's genuine noticing of your mood, or simply gravitating towards stillness that happens to be your stillness, the outcome is the same. They chose to be near you when you needed it, not away from you. That quiet little paw arriving exactly when you needed it might be one of the most human things a cat ever does. Here's a third one, and this is one a lot of owners have felt but never really thought about. You wake up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, and there's a small paw resting against your cheek or your forehead. Not patting, not poking, just resting. A lot of people laugh this off as their cat being clumsy in their sleep, sprawled out and accidentally landing on your face. Sometimes that's exactly what it is, but when it happens consistently, in the same spot, at the same quiet pressure, it may be less about an accident and more about a familiar habit your cat has developed. Sleep is one of the only times your cat sees you completely still and completely vulnerable. In the wild, an animal doesn't relax its guard near something it doesn't trust. Your cat curling up close enough to rest a paw on your face is your cat treating that stillness as safe, not as an opportunity, not as a threat. They're comfortable enough with your motionless body right next to theirs to fall asleep touching you. It's a small thing, but it's one more piece of evidence that your cat isn't just tolerating the room you're both in. They're choosing proximity to you, even when you're not doing anything to earn it. Now let's move to number 4, and this is where it gets interesting, because the reason behind this paw is one most people have never even heard of. Why does your cat lay their whole paw across your arm and just leave it there? Not a tap, not a poke, just a heavy little paw resting on you like a paperweight, sometimes for ages, almost like they're planting a flag. That's closer to the truth than you'd think. Here's the part most people have no idea about. Your cat's paws can carry familiar scents, and when they press against you, they're also bringing their own scent into the interaction. When your cat presses their paw into you and holds it there, they're mixing a little of that scent into the moment. To your cat, that familiar scent can help make you feel like part of their safe, familiar world. That lazy paw draped over your arm is your cat quietly folding you into their world, so that you smell a little more like family, like safety, like home. You're becoming part of a familiar world that smells like safety and home. To them, you're not just a person they live with. You're part of the environment they've built around themselves, and honestly, that's one of the biggest compliments a cat can give. This one shows up most often in cats who already feel completely settled in their home. It's less common in brand new rescues who are still figuring out whether this place is permanent. So if your cat has only just started doing this, take it as a sign that something has shifted for them. They've decided this is theirs now, and so are you. Number 5 is a quieter one, and you've probably seen it without clocking what it meant. Your cat is walking towards something new, a grocery bag on the floor, a strange noise, a visitor's outstretched hand, and instead of walking normally, they freeze mid-step with one paw lifted off the ground. That raised paw is a pause button. It's your cat gathering information before committing to a move. Cats rely heavily on their whiskers and their sense of smell to figure out whether something is safe, and lifting a paw mid-stride keeps their options open. They can step forward, step back, or stay frozen, depending on what they decide in that split second. It's worth noticing when your cat does this around you versus around something unfamiliar. A cat who trusts you completely rarely needs the raised paw. When you approach, they've already decided you're safe. If you ever do see it directed at you, it's usually a sign that something about the moment felt slightly off to them, maybe a sudden movement, a new smell on your hands, or an unfamiliar object you're holding. It's not fear exactly, it's caution, and it's worth respecting rather than pushing past. If you ever catch this happening, the best thing you can do is nothing dramatic. Stay still, let your voice stay calm and low, and let your cat finish gathering whatever information they're gathering. Rushing toward them in that moment usually turns a small hesitation into a much bigger flinch. Number 6 is the one almost everyone gets wrong, and it's the one that actually matters most for your relationship. You're mid-cuddle, everything's going great, and suddenly that same little paw presses flat against you and pushes. Not a scratch, not a bite, just a firm, quiet okay, that's enough. Here's what happens. The paw pushes. The owner thinks it's cute or playful, and they keep going. They pull the cat back in for more. And that's the exact moment a purring, happy cat turns into claws and a fast exit. Then people say their cat is moody, or that it turned on them for no reason. But there was a reason. You were told. You just didn't listen. That push is your cat setting a boundary in the politest way they have. They're not rejecting you. Stop and let that sink in, because this is the part that changes everything. That gentle push is often your cat's way of communicating a boundary before they feel the need to escalate. They're giving you the gentle version first. The paw is them saying, "I still love you, I just need a second," and trusting that you'll respect it. So when that paw presses against you, listen to it. Ease off. Let them have their space. A cat that keeps choosing the soft paw over the claws, over and over across years of living with you, is a cat that has learned it doesn't need to escalate with you. That's not a small thing. That's trust built one honoured boundary at a time. There's a longer-term payoff here too. Owners who consistently respect this early paw signal tend to end up with cats who are more physically affectionate overall, not less, because the cat has learned that closeness with you doesn't come with a risk of being ignored past their limit. Owners who override it, even gently, often end up with cats who avoid long cuddles altogether, because the only way to guarantee the interaction ends on their terms is to not start it. Number 7 is a bit different from the others, because it usually shows up in moments of separation rather than closeness. If you've ever closed a door on your cat, even for something as mundane as a shower, you may have seen a paw slide underneath it, feeling around blindly for you. Or if you've ever had to crate them for a vet visit, you've probably seen a paw poke through the carrier grate, reaching toward your hand outside. This one is less subtle than the others, and it's usually more about anxiety than affection specifically, so it's worth reading in context. A cat reaching for you through a barrier is often telling you they don't like the separation, not that they're sending you a sweet message, but it belongs on this list because it shows the same underlying thing every other paw on this list shows. Your cat orients toward you when something feels uncertain. They don't reach for the wall. They don't reach for the floor. They reach specifically toward the side of the barrier where you are. If this happens often, it's a signal worth paying attention to, especially around travel, vet visits, or new environments. A quick hand near the gap, even without picking them up, that lets them touch your fingers, may help them feel a little more secure in that moment. Number 8 takes us all the way back to kittenhood. Before some cats rest a paw on you, they knead first, pressing one paw and then the other into a blanket, your lap or your stomach, sometimes with their claws slightly out. It looks almost like they're making bread, which is exactly what most people call it. Kneading traces back to kittenhood. Nursing kittens knead against their mother to stimulate milk flow, a rhythmic, paw-over-paw motion that's one of the very first physical behaviours they ever learn. Most cats keep the behaviour long after they're weaned, and it tends to show up specifically in moments of comfort and contentment, right before they curl up, right before a nap, right before they finally settle that paw onto you and go still. When an adult cat kneads on you, they're doing a behaviour that's wired all the way back to the safest, most dependent relationship they've ever had, and choosing to do it on you. It's one more small overlap between how your cat behaves with you and how a much younger, much more vulnerable version of them behaved with their mother. Interestingly, not every cat kneads the same way. Some barely touch you at all, needing a blanket next to you instead. Others knead directly on your stomach or lap, claws and all, and seem completely unaware they're doing it. Either version points to the same underlying comfort. It's just a matter of how physically close that comfort needs to be for that particular cat. There's one more small moment worth mentioning before we get to the big one, and it doesn't even happen while your cat is awake. If you've ever watched your cat nap and noticed their paws twitching, sometimes with a faint little movement like they're batting at something in a dream, that's your cat cycling through REM sleep, the same stage of sleep where humans dream. Researchers studying sleep in cats have found their brain activity during this stage looks remarkably similar to a dreaming human's. Nobody can tell you exactly what a cat dreams about, But if your cat naps pressed against you, feet twitching, completely limp and unguarded, that's them choosing to be unconscious and defenseless in the one spot they trust enough to let their guard all the way down. It's not a signal aimed at you the way a tap or a push is, but it's still a paw telling you something. This is where they feel safe enough to stop paying attention to the world entirely. Here's another moment a lot of owners will recognise, and it happens on the opposite end of the day from the sleepy twitching paw we just talked about. It's early morning, you're still asleep, and a paw taps your face, or presses gently on your closed eyelid, or pats at your hair, over and over, until you finally open your eyes. Most people chalk this up to hunger, and often that's exactly what it is. But watch closely and you'll notice something else. The paw usually starts soft. A light touch first, a pause to see if you stir, then a slightly firmer tap if you don't. Only after several rounds of that gentle escalation does it turn into something more insistent. A paw on the nose, a paw pulling at the blanket, sometimes a full sit on your chest. That escalation pattern matters. A cat that wanted to demand food immediately has claws and a voice built for exactly that. Instead, most cats start with the paw, the same soft, low-commitment tool they use everywhere else on this list, and only turn up the intensity when the gentle version doesn't work. It's the same pattern as the tap that asks you to keep petting, and the same pattern as the push that asks you to stop. Soft first. Escalate only if they have to. There's also a small window in that moment worth paying attention to. Right as you're stirring but before you're fully awake, some cats will pause the tapping altogether and just rest their paw against you, watching your face, waiting to see if you're really coming back to them or just shifting in your sleep. That brief pause, in between the demand and the relief of getting what they want, is one of the clearest windows you'll ever get into how closely your cat is actually reading you, even half asleep, even first thing in the morning, even when food is genuinely the whole point. Before we get to the last one, and the reason behind everything on this list, if this is already changing how you read that little paw, that's exactly the point of going through all 9 of these one by one. So what is the one reason underneath every single paw? The thing I promised you back at the start. Here it is. We have all heard it. Cats are independent. Cats are aloof. Cats don't really need you. They just tolerate you because you hold the can opener. It might be the most repeated thing anyone says about cats. And it turns out to be an oversimplification. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University published a study in the journal Current Biology, where they gave cats a version of the same test scientists use on human babies. They placed the cat in an unfamiliar room with their owner, had the owner step out, then watched what happened when the owner came back. That's the test used to measure attachment the bond a baby forms with a parent. The researchers found that a majority of the cats showed signs of secure attachment to their caregivers, meaning their caregiver could function as a source of comfort and security in an unfamiliar, mildly stressful situation. Your cat can form a genuine attachment to you, one where you become a familiar source of safety and security, the same basic role a secure base plays for a young child. Sit with that for a second. Your cat does not just live with you, your cat can form a real attachment bond to you. And suddenly, every paw on this list makes sense. The tap that asks you to stay, the paw that rests against your cheek while you sleep, the heavy paw that folds you into their scent, the paw that finds you when you're low, the raised paw that hesitates around anything unfamiliar but almost never around you, the push that trusts you to listen, the paw that reaches for you even through a locked door, the kneading that echoes all the way back to their first most dependent relationship. Every single one is a thread tying them back to their anchor, back to you. It's also why a stranger never really gets this. A visitor might earn a curious paw, but they're not the safe place your cat runs to when the world turns strange. You are. It was never about who gets touched. It was about who they're attached to. They may not understand your worlds the way you hope they do, but they understand familiarity. They understand safety. And they know who makes their world feel predictable. And sometimes, that tiny paw is simply their way of reaching for that person. So the next time that quiet paw settles on you, you'll know what it truly means. Not feed me, not just I like you. It means you are their person, the one they chose to feel safe with, in a world they cannot control. And that soft little paw has been telling you all along. If you've ever had your cat reach for you like this, you already know how different that little paw can feel. If you're learning to understand your cat a little better, subscribe for the next one.